It's one game all around for the second series of North America today. SpaceStation Gaming going up against the newcomers, LFM Esports. LFM got the surprising victory in Game 1, but I do have to admit Game 2 seemed a little bit more like what I expected just for their first match or so in HGC.
Yes, but how much that was more draft as opposed to play, though?
That's true.
I mean, it's still up in the air for me. I mean, obviously, they were dominated for about 90% of Game 1 was LFM. They were pretty much almost dominated the entire, especially post-level 10 when SpaceStation got 10. They're just like, look, you're really not going to be able to do anything about this. We're just going to keep doing it. So, Game 3.
Yeah, let's see.
Be a little bit clearer picture as we move on.
Let's do it. Let's see. Game 3. Yes.
Oh, my.
Volskaya. Volskaya. Yeah. What?
When you did the arms like that, can we do that again? The you look like the Triglav protector. You just got to move it slower.
I'm reminded of a video we had where you were making a face and I was going like this. I don't know if the public's seen that.
And there's like Dreadnought and Dunk Train or something on one, and somebody, you know, the old PAX video.
Yeah. Volskaya, conveyor belts. All I ask, please, 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 I want to see a fight on the bottom capture point. Some
teams, if it's not even, they'll just be like, look, we're not even going to bother down there. They'll just do something somewhere else.
That's, like, man, I don't blame them.
The bottom one is full of nothing but conveyor belts and question marks.
Yeah.
Just lots of question marks every time you go down there.
It's pretty scary. Our first game of Volskaya. There was a Volskaya in Europe today, right? I'm pretty sure.
Look, my first day.
Yeah, you're right. You're killing it, man.
It's like I was watching the first game, and I got to drive here, and then I got to.
That's true.
You know.
I think there was.
They made me like run laps around the building as initiation. Like it was a brutal morning today.
Do some push-ups along the way.
They made me wear makeup and everything. It's just like I don't know what's happening. My life is changing.
No, you're not supposed to tell them that we wear makeup. That's the magic of being on camera. We just look this way.
We're in 1080p now, Gilly. They can see my makeup. Wait, hopefully not.
Greymane being the pick for LFM, so they did change up the drafting style, but SpaceStation will now get their Warrior and Lucio, and it's ETC Lucio. That's a strong duo right there.
If you can lock those in your 1-2 slot, you're definitely ahead in the draft to start the game off. So. And when you look at the objective, it's a single point objective where we know that there's going to be skirmishing, where you know you're going to fight. It kind of reminds me loosely of Brax's holdout in the sense that it can be a very long duration style objective. So when you have somebody with those sustained heals like Lucio, you can have that. His mana pool is not really a problem at all. You can just kind of stand on that, keep your team alive periodically with heals. Fantastic pickup. ETC's got his own self-heal, so a lot of sustain. When we look at this draft, and you could literally take this on any map, but I think it's even stronger here.
Yeah, two very good picks for them. ETC, we've been seeing a lot of stage dive, but there's some possibility points. As I say that, not so much now, maybe for the mosh pits, but there are some possible places to do that. It's pretty open, though. It's an open battleground. So maybe we'll see, with it being on the larger side, a stage dive again for SpaceStation. Anubarak and Li Ming, the first Anubarak of the NA HGC, and Li Ming as being able to steal away the cocoon counter.
Yeah, and you mentioned this earlier in the sense that if you could use that, especially in solo support roles, that's something that we would traditionally see. If you can use that on something like a Lucio, you deny that sound barrier, and then you try and work through it. Now, you talked about with Li Ming, she has it because the cocoon is based on ticks, so you can burn that down. The faster auto attacks, the better it goes down. Or the faster abilities in this case for Li Ming. So it's up to them to have something to be able to pop that. Lucio can't pop his own cocoon, that's the problem, even though he does have fast auto attacks. So we'll see what SpaceStation's response is to that potential cocoon income.
Yeah, it seems most likely that Lucio would be who they're going after for a cocoon because of that, and because with Greymane and Li Ming, they're looking to see if they can blow someone up quickly and start the double reset train that worked out very well for SpaceStation in the last game. Leoric ban from SpaceStation. LFM considering Arthas. Still need a Jason hero.
Yeah, sustain again is the name of the game on this. Arthas has self-sustain. Leo is normally a natural counter towards Arthas, especially when Arthas came back in last year's meta. Everybody's like, well, what if we pick Leoric? Because it's easier to land that Drain Hope and take care of that front line. Now they're changing it up. They've got mages in mind between Gul'dan and Chromie.
Interesting.
Especially after you're like, I'm picking a Nubaret, which has built-in spell armor.
Slowing sands with conveyor belt might be a lot to deal with.
That is the definition of toxic.
Plus, her ability to just constantly shell out damage from a long range on those points would be nice too. And I wonder if maybe that is alluding to the support, but we'll see what LFM wants to get in the support slot. For now, Arthas and Tychus. A lot of Tychus.
A lot of Tychus. And Tychus is a good answer towards a Nubarak. His health pool is a little bit lower than most other tanks because he has the built-in spell armor. But what will be the most interesting to me is level 1. Depending on what the last pick is for SpaceStation, with the globe changes, we might see a Nubarak go towards a globe build as opposed to the new Nerubian armor, which gives you even more periodic spell damage on top of what you've already got built in. So I think that might actually be a really good play with the globe changes.
Yeah, I agree. Don't think we're going to see Resilient Scarabs there. I think it would be more likely to get the Regen Master.
You don't like full Beetle build?
Beetles with spell armor, you know?
Yes.
You know.
The new meta.
You know too much. Support for LFM. If they're looking for something sustainy like that, Stukov would be my guess. They do get Stukov. Great combo with the new Barak. And then finally Dahaka. A little bit beefier of a front line, and the global and the side soak hero.
It keeps ETC in check. We've seen a lot of ETCs. There's too many interrupts for Mosh Pit. Li Ming is good. You can kind of get a Nubarak in there, but Stukov is pretty amazing when it comes to that. He's got the lurking arm. He's got potential flailing swipe. So you've got more than one option, which forces ETC into maybe a less playmaking style heroic. However, it does give them the global, since they are playing an Arthas ETC post level 10 can match the Dahaka to make sure and not get behind in that side soak. So they do buy themselves a little bit no matter what with the heroic. Here's the Jaina. So much Jaina.
Arthas Jaina.
So if you're a Nubarak now, globes, Nerubian armor. Globes, Nerubian armor. Because Nerubian armor works in the sense that once it procs, you have a
further, yeah.
Yeah, you have, was it 2.5 seconds or something like that? 1.5. Yeah, there's been so many changes. But you get that bonus, and Jaina is really all about the burst. So if you can proc that in some other way, maybe get that Icy Veins at level 13, you get that cooldown, depending on if you go, I'm sure you'll go Q build at level 8. You can keep that going, proc it, and when you see that start to wear off, land that skill shot and get the blow up on a Nubarak. So there's some playmaking potential there to try and counter that front line if you go Q build with Icy Veins at 13, which in the pro scene, there's pretty much no other build.
Yeah, I'm looking at potentially if you have the new Nerubian armor there, Force armor will also be helpful for Li Ming against that Jaina. The Jaina and Arthas together have a lot of control, so much control over the capture points. And then that should give a point for them to move into position better, especially with the ETC. Just wondering again, do we see a water elemental for Jaina? Is it more that kind of style? Is there any place where she thinks she can get a Ring of Frost going? Stukov is pretty immobile when he's trying to drop all of his abilities down is one thing I think of, but maybe she could also just as easily throw down Water Elemental afterward and get the slow going on him too.
Yeah, and what we saw in the game earlier where we went with the root at level 16 for Jaina, it allows you to set that up a lot easier, isolate a target, get that blow up. So a lot of times in the pro scene, we will see that single target burst damage that is so prevalent. Once you get that one pick, it opens up the game for you. So maybe we'll see that style again. I think that seems more likely after what we've seen, but there are some good points that you could potentially go ring in some of these around the conveyor belts. It keeps
Dahaka honest too, to have the slows and then be able to root him as you're retreating back. Yep. Let's do it. Volskaya Foundry, finally, I might add, in this series between LFM and SpaceStation.
That Li Ming mount combo for T.
Top tier. That's pretty good.
Which one are you, the happy or the sad cloud?
Oh, happy cloud. Yeah, you're sad cloud? That's okay. Fits well. Who is playing this Jaina? Kasa's going to be on Tychus, Jay Shrita playing Jaina. That Jaina skin is so cool.
I'm still a fan of the Winterveil skin.
Okay. That's respectable. European Armor change up on Jaina build right away. So a lot of not as much focus into the Glove Taunts, though we still see Dash. Great silence. Great follow-up to the silence with the Anubarak stuns. Arthas first blood picked up by LFM.
Not too shabby there for LFM. Getting the nerves settled, have a little bit better composition, a little bit more well-rounded composition, I should say, for their team. First objective, of course, always will be in the middle. We'll see what teams do beforehand. There's the camps up at the top on the respect. Oh my goodness. Equinox, the power slide out, gets the armor. Not
well
able to confirm
done.
it.
Oh man. The synergy of SpaceStation is great.
I'm digging the Stukov play already.
Yeah, oh yeah. The Stukov Anubarak, that combo started in either BlizzCon or GCWC. People started using a lot. I think it was GCWC. And you can see why. The fact that Anubarak from level 1 has follow-up to his own crowd control because he has Impale and Burrow Charge, later on gets ridiculous once he gets Rewind. He can hold someone onto that silence point for so long, and then having the follow-up damage that they have between Greymane and Leeming, not even to consider the fact that Drag can also put someone in the silence point. LFM have possibility to get ganks right from the beginning, get picks like that on just about anybody. That was ETC. He's supposed to be the strong frontliner, although he can be kind of squishy.
Can we talk more about Block Party plus Rhyme? Like,
yeah.
Block, 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 block. And it's not something you traditionally see, but Greymane, auto attacker, unless he's got Inner Beast, not exactly the fastest. Stukov hits like a truck.
There's the stun, there's the silence, yeah, the drag.
He's not coming, is he?
Drayden's slowed down by the...
Oh.
Jason was watching out, did not want to get cocktailed in the face.
But no fast auto attackers on the side of LFM, so I think it's pretty good value with that combo.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Jaina build, big change up right
now. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Lingering Chill, having the increase in time of chill, and then Arcane Intellect. Arcane Intellect makes a lot of sense if you're having those long fights that you're talking about, capture points. Making sure that she can keep the regeneration up of her mana so she doesn't run out, because she doesn't have any mana giver along with her. There's no Malfurion this time for SpaceStation. But how far that extends, especially with that Lingering Chill, that's my biggest question. If that's an indication of something way different in the build, maybe the Ring of Frost somehow. I don't think that should be any sort of indication to that. The longer chill is just really nice even with the water elemental, because you make sure that you have the slow for longer.
I think, when you go into that queue, when you get the shorter cooldown reduction, obviously, on chill targets that you hit with your Q. So if you could just poke somebody down for days, making sure that you're getting that mana return, as long as you're hitting your skill shots, you have high potential on this Jaina. So we'll see how this plays out. Intriguing, to say the least.
Yeah, and that Jaina is the solo laner up in the top for the time being. SpaceStation gets 35%, and continuing to climb, though it is contested. They're still trying to keep a hold of this as best they can as Jason speeds right on in with the conveyor belt. There's the silence. Figgy goes in. Perfect synergy from LFM. But Equinox and Gang are able to get Jason out of that position, holding on to 62% of the capture point.
Single point objective, always my favorite style of maps because you're forced to fight. There's no avoiding it unless, you're down and then you just kind of give it up. But we see Jaina and Arthas respectively on the mini-map, clearing out those lanes, trying to get to 7. They're a tiny bit behind, but they'll have that momentarily. Look for them to continue to contest the channel pad here. What do we call this thing?
Capture point.
Capture point.
The collapse was very cool from LFM, but Jason has the conveyor belt down. He conveyor belted straight up, was hit by a weighted pustule, was at like the edge of the lurking arm silence. runs up, the rest of the team comes in to save him, and all of a sudden a new Barak finds himself on the wrong side of SpaceStation Gaming. It's really fun watching Jason solo lane in this bottom lane because he just keeps speeding right on up to the capture point whenever someone contests.
All right, Gilly.
I love this map.
Look, sometimes when I play Jaina, I do this because I think it's fun. It's good to set up Ring of Frost.
Oh, it
things
is
like
different.
that. We've got ice flows here, which means that when you hit 2 or more people with your Cone of Cold, you get the cooldown reduction per person hit up to 5 seconds.
Yes.
Which means that you can spam that out and really punish the front line.
So is that for Northern Exposure, constant armor reduction, or is that for Numbing Blast, constant roots?
There's a lot of playmaking. I haven't seen this in competitive play.
I haven't either.
I've done this on stream for fun. You know, just you want to hit melees, you just want to make good fun plays happen with your E, but I didn't expect to see this style setup, so the verdict will be out a bit. We'll see how it plays in. Trickle off Protector. Almost getting a fort here, 5-6 minutes in.
Yeah, it's working on the fort, charges back in to hit Harangi. Stukov player. The fort will hold, but it does sustain some damage from SpaceStation in the siege, and importantly, SpaceStation are just about to hit heroic abilities. You can see what ETC decides to pick up.
All right, for now, we're calling this the Shrite build. He's like, look, I'm bringing a little bit of LatAm flavor here. Ice flows. He still goes water elemental.
And stage dive.
And stage dive.
It's a stage dive kind of meta. A lot of interrupts for LFM, and just in general, it seems. LFM about to get heroic abilities. Do you anticipate anything very strange? We've sometimes seen Locust Swarm as a way of dealing with Army of the Dead, but Cocoon here, with that solo support Lucio trying to keep everyone alive, does seem enticing.
The scarier part about that is if ETC stage dives on one side while LFM simultaneously tries to dive in, it could be a tricky moment to try and get through that cocoon. Again, having Tychus there with that fast auto attack speed will help get through the cocoon pretty quickly. So they do have good counterplay for that, does SpaceStation Gaming. It's just all a matter of execution. When we talk about stage dive, we generally don't see Jaina and Tychus necessarily diving in deep to make those plays. But there's going to have to be some coordination, some setup. Getting that slow off of that will help Jaina land some abilities. So both sides can easily counter the other. It's just going to be a matter of who executes better.
In that situation you're referencing, though, is it a concern when Casanova goes into Odin then if Cocoon hasn't come out?
That is very true. Your auto attacks are much slower. It's the same way that I would look at dealing with a mosh pit, is that you lose your grenade when you're in Odin. And you would see when Tychus was meta about 9 months ago, that was always an issue, is that, all right, now that we see Odin up, we're just going to go ahead and mosh pit. And that would be one less interrupt that you would have.
Now, SpaceStation and LFM were going for the old standard structure trade, but LFM were faster in that attack. Water Elemental is going to go out. Jayshrit is hoping to keep LFM here so the rest of the team can get into position for a fight. The push top would favor SpaceStation if they could make something happen, get some kills off of this. The Cocoon does go down in the back of the flailing swipes. Equinox separated from the team in that isolation style comp. Sound Barrier and Odin has to go down as Casanova was in a pretty scary position. And with isolation on Jason, SpaceStation are all just trying to back out while making sure that they can regroup all together as a team. They're starting to bring down swabs. Perfect power slide keeps into position. He'll burrow, but just delay the inevitable. First kill of the fight. Nope, second kill of the fight is for LFM. They trade out 1-for-1.
Draded
SpaceStation.
Barely dodging. Nice grenade there is going to pull Draded back. Nicely done there. Taking advantage of that level 7 quarterback. You got it. You can throw a little bit further. I think he hit a home run. It's a touchdown, by the way. Come on, Gilly.
I'm sorry, but sports ball references. I don't know if you've watched the NA broadcasts before, but they don't go very far over here. I know. Okay. teach me your ways.
No, thank you. If Dredd couldn't do it, I'm not going to try.
It was cool to see that split push for SpaceStation up in the top because they knew where the capture point was going to be. It's just that they responded pretty late to LFM pushing, and LFM got those towers in front of the gate. But the slowdown from Jay Shrita, even though he died, was enough to let SpaceStation win out on that fight, and now they're winning in the next capture point, and that sets them up really well if they can get this, given that they've already taken the fort down.
With LFM taking down that bottom keep wall, if they get a protector, I wonder if they'd be willing to hard push or commit to that. I mean, it's a bit early for the protector, but they've done a lot of work in that bottom lane. And right now they're holding. Level 15 almost here for SpaceStation, which means 16. If they can hold, contest this, I don't know if they're going to have enough time. We might just have a fight before then.
Double globals are in the bottom. Who will pull the trigger first is the question with those. Capture point still tracking up for LFM. Shrita keeping eyes on Swabs. Swabs comes in. Dahaka is here. ETC still hoping for the pickup of 16, but it's not going to happen. They catch him out of stage dive. That was beautifully done, but look at all of the damage down as they collapsed onto ETC. LFM take out ETC, but they're going to lose the fight handily.
Swabs went back in there. I'm not sure if he thought he could do more there. I don't know if he's going to make it out anyways, but he definitely took a handful of steps in the wrong direction. And, well, they got to 99%, stalled out, and now SpaceStation with a level lead. We'll see them. Now, this is something we haven't seen before, Gilly, with both Sky and competitive, especially maybe earlier, but, you know, in NA. So we've got this. They've got top lane open, which you have to make the decision. We could push top lane, make top lane happen, take down a keep potentially, and then that gives you global control. The next protector is going to be bot lane. Are you willing to commit taking that time, running it all the way top? Or are you just willing to have that lane control? Because, again, we'll see teams on the bottom, they're willing to say, you know what, it's not worth it. It's way too far to safety. We'll just keep the top lane. So the protector in this instance, there's some plays that we have not seen managed yet. Now we get to see how this unfolds.
Protector moving in. They have decided to put 2 of their players inside the Protector. Sometimes you'll see just one and then switch out between the seats as necessary. So you have more people out, more people who are able to zone away the rest of the heroes while you're sieging. But the health bar is still pretty good at this point for SpaceStation to take out the first heap, especially with 16 just not quite there yet for LFM. But LFM might be able to try to engage off the back of this protector.
Well, this is a really good learning point for... Oh, wait a minute. Hold
wow,
on.
That
Drayden
charge.
Going on. The explosion could be there. The heal's going out. They're putting it on Drayden. Can you make it back? He will. But that's actually a really good learning point, I think, for a lot of people that feel the protector is weak or not very impactful. What you saw there was SpaceStation Gaming clearing the minions, making sure. You said when they got in there that the protector was very healthy, and it was, because they prioritized making sure the camp came up, making sure to clear the minions, making sure that their minions were eating those shots. Remember, that keep is stronger now. Well, this one, there was never that side tower, so that keep damage was always inherently more powerful. If you can clear those minions the same way that they did, you keep that much healthier, you give yourself that backline of protection, and the protector actually isn't too shabby.
But SpaceStation did keep 2 of their players inside the Protector, and then the rest wanted to go along with for the safety. Obviously, if they got a bunch of kills, could have tried to just further on and win the game from that. But in having a global advantage, LFM tied up the keeps anyway. So they still took down a keep. They have 16 now. They've opened up a win condition for them, and we're ready for the next fight. The slows hit and forced back. The burrow charge from a new Barak, SpaceStation drop down with a stage dive. They're grouping up LFM all together, and that is where they were able to get a kill last time as they put Swabs in a corner next. He uses Tunneling Claws just to pull SpaceStation back, but SpaceStation is proving that they really know how to run these death balls and corralling LFM together.
Okay, no. All right, this is what you had talked about with newer teams and where they fall short, in the sense that the minute something happens, you get punished a lot harder. Those minor mistakes you made allow for SpaceStation to come in. This gives them that race towards 20. They get the fort down. They'll look to take the keep wall. That gives them 20. SpaceStation starting to put the clamps right now on LFM.
It's really awesome to see. Wow, wow! Curse and bullet from the Silence. Equinox not expecting that kind of damage, and that's the second time that's happened to him in that position. It's just that the last time it happened, LFM grouped so hard around him that SpaceStation just threw everything out. All of the Odin damage, all of the Jaina damage. Arthas got in there as well with the Frozen Tempest. That's unfortunate for SpaceStation losing ETC. Yeah, he has the global where he can come back in, but it is some time where LFM can take control of this map.
It's one of those situations where maybe you could let the minions go up and then let your range do the damage. You don't necessarily have to be in melee range just because that's where you do damage. I think it was a little bit more aggressive. He probably could have just stayed back a little bit, made sure to get the clear, and then be that protector instead of the clear.
Yeah, definitely not respecting the potential of Stukov to root him onto the Silence so that he can't power slide out until he walks out. That gives extra time for the Ming poke. It gives extra time for the Cursed Bullet, which started that off. But SpaceStation has ETC back. They have the camp, the assault camp in the top. And we get the third capture point.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. I think with the threat of 20, LFM, they'll look to see multiple members of SpaceStation show bottom, and they might try, say, push a top structure. I don't like Stukov there. I'm pretty sure he just showed, which, I mean, you're going to know that they're on the camp, but this is one of those situations where it might be better not to show multiple members there, because you can leave ETC bottom. And see, this gives... So SpaceStation could do one of two things. They could open up the bottom lane, they could push in themselves, take a bottom keep wall, really push it, or they can defend here. And by showing early and showing not letting Dahaka clear, had they fallen back a little bit, I mean, you can see they almost got a full wall but didn't. Had they just let Dahaka clear, wait for that wave to push towards the middle of the map, then push in, it becomes far more advantageous because you have more time and you don't necessarily have to wait and force an early response out of SpaceStation. So again, the macro play for LFM, a few kinks they still got to work out.
Yeah, it did give SpaceStation a faster response time to the top. And it also limits the experience that LFM, the places they can get experience back on their road to 20. And it also opens up an opportunity for SpaceStation to try to find a fight somewhere before that 20 hits. Cursed Bullet and Isolation just as soon as Stage Dive went down. But Equinox survived and Dahaka was taken out. SpaceStation take 1 kill and LFM are 4 versus 5 for 50 more seconds.
Well, Gilly, we get full sky for the first time, and my biggest question right now, do you take the Protector, walk it all the way up to top lane, try and end the game, or do you try and take a second keep? We're 18 minutes into the game. Generally, with most objectives, you're looking to end with an objective at this point, but it is 20 versus 20. You have Li Ming on the other side. Looks like they're pushing towards the bot lane, which had, by the way, a keep push down against them as well.
Let's see what they get done with it. Keeping Tychus out this time. He does have big red button, so they're going to put Jay Shrita inside instead, and then use Casanova's Tychus for the siege, along with the Triglav Protector.
So this is what happens when you don't kill the minions. You lose 30% of your health in the first wave. Big red button will help them siege up pretty strong, as you said. Odin there is the biggest factor. This will even up the bot lane in terms of keeps, but it doesn't in the game, and it just leaves the game open, Gilly, to a team fight. SpaceStation at this point, they lose a keep, the bottom lane is neutral, they still have a global. They're looking for a fight, however, on the backside. Figgy trying to get in there. He does get rooted. Figgy in trouble. Does have to use that burrow to get out for the moment.
Protector went back in with the charge, and Jay Shrita jumped out of that for the follow-up damage too. Protector alive, but just barely as a secondary keep goes down. LFM now with only 1 keep remaining in the mid. SpaceStation even out the catapult pressure in the bottom. But as you said, there is still room for an LFM victory in this game.
That's why I'm torn on where do late game Protectors stand. That does not add a definitive answer. As it stands, LFM gets 20. They're still in the game. It neutralizes the bottom lane. Dahaka still has plenty of control in the top lane to keep those catapults at bay. It is a single point objective that comes down to a team fight. So SpaceStation's win condition is to get a pick or have a team fight. Conversely, LFM has the exact same win condition.
Nice route. Quick on the uptake, seeing that LFM were starting to head in and contest the support camp. At this point, both teams retreating back, just getting the camps that they have. Really important for LFM that they can keep the pressure off of that top lane since they don't have the keep there. Whereas SpaceStation still have a fort there. SpaceStation using that to see if they can get a pick on the solo laner. We've seen this before. We saw it in the last one. Nice bolt.
That's money.
That was
That is straight money.
So good from Equinox. And because of that, they get another kill on Dahaka, and Dahaka can't keep this top lane pushed back now.
They're afraid of the back door. That's the moment where you start to back, you wait to see if they're coming. You can get halfway there, you keep continuing to back. Oh my.
Send ETC back. ETC does have stage dive, so we can come back in. He didn't use it in that fight, just the bolt and then the power slide. Excellent by them. He was going to stage dive in and see if he could keep some of the members of LFM from backing, but no Dahaka here. We've got the big red button, which goes into a cocoon. Tomsterd breaks that down really fast. The Lucio attack, SpaceStation Gaming will be able to take out LFM. The core going down 10%, and they've still got the Odin on it. Yeah, they got it. SpaceStation wins game 3.
If that was a game of mind games, SpaceStation just straight up was like, what if they backdoor? Okay, well, they're not backdooring because they just got our camp. So what if we just push and then the stage dive actually caught Greymane? And there's so much sieging potential at that point that I don't know what LFM was doing. You lost Dahaka. You know where the enemy team is. You either hard commit to their core or you back. There's no in between. Like, even if they had finished backing with the Grey, it's still game over. Like, it's way too late. Questionable play by LFM, but it's also an opportunity to learn.
Yes, growing pains for LFM. If there was ever a team to get into a situation of a base race and a quick core call against to learn from, SpaceStation is a good one to be against for that, because SpaceStation, if Equinox even senses that there's an opportunity for him to just close out a game fast, he's not afraid to make those calls.
Can we talk about how good that play was?
The bolt power slide?
Yeah, because if you just walk over there and you raw power slide, pro players are skilled enough, timing-wise, that they just say, okay, they dodge it with the burrow under, no big deal. But a bolt power slide is like, look, you're not getting away from this. It's just not going to happen. Good luck. See you. And that was a very decisive point. I mean, it's a small thing, but that is a really good play.
It felt like the whole ending for Equinox, like that play, going back, trying to see who he could catch and stop for backs, all of that well executed from Equinox. And it's cool to see him be able to make these plays back on the Warrior, play on different Warrior heroes at that too. All of them. Casanova on his new role. Jason also, the Arthas play on the first capture point.
But what happens if he stage dives? Hits nobody, doesn't keep Greymane there, and then his team dies at the core.
I didn't think, I thought he hadn't hit him, so I'm glad you noticed that he
Well, he was just on the other side of the wall. I think he had to slide over there. But what if he actually whiffs? And then his team dies at the core. How bad does that look? It's risky.
It didn't, so we don't have to talk about it. A+.
It would have been a magical moment, to say the least. But
well, we finally got Volskaya. I'm happy. Let's see where the potential